I never thought the day my life would turn upside down would start with a simple text message. It was just 4 words, but those words crushed me. We need to talk. At that moment, my heart froze. How could something so small break everything I believed in? I had trusted him more than anyone else in this world. He was my husband, my best friend, the man I promised forever to. But forever turned out to be a lie. I thought love was unbreakable, that it could survive anything. But that night, I found a secret so dark, so unforgivable, it shattered the foundation of my world. She wasn't supposed to exist in our story. Her name wasn't just a whisper anymore, it was a threat, a shadow creeping into every corner of my life. And I was left standing alone, wondering how the man I loved could betray me so completely. The worst part? It wasn't just betrayal. It was the way he looked at me afterward, like I was the stranger, the enemy. That's when I realized something chilling. Sometimes, the people who promise to hold your heart the tightest are the ones who crush it the hardest. And in that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. For years, I thought I had it all figured out. My name is Aisha, and I was married to Samir, the man I believed was my soulmate. We met in college, 2 young dreamers tangled in late-night talks, shared secrets, and endless laughter. From the moment we first held hands, it felt like fate had drawn our paths together. Samir was everything I ever wanted, charming, ambitious, and fiercely loyal, or so I thought. We built a life filled with small joys, a cozy apartment downtown, Sunday mornings with coffee in bed, and weekend trips where we talked about our future kids and the house we'd someday buy. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it felt real. We fought sometimes like any couple, but those fights only made us closer. He would always be the one to apologize first, and I believed it was because he loved me more. My friends envied us. They said we were the perfect couple, the kind of love story everyone wanted but rarely found. I believed them. I wanted to believe them. But behind closed doors, I had my doubts, little things I pushed away like shadows in the corner of a bright room. The way Samir's phone always buzzed with messages he never showed me. The late nights he claimed were work but sometimes felt off. I tried to ignore those uneasy feelings. Maybe I was just being paranoid. I was a graphic designer, working from home mostly, which gave me time to care for our little life. I poured my heart into every project, but my favorite thing was coming home to him. Samir worked as a marketing manager for a growing tech firm. Always busy, but never too busy for me, or so he said. Our friends knew us as inseparable, the couple who still held hands after 5 years of marriage. They never saw the cracks growing beneath the surface cracks I refused to face. I loved him fiercely. I trusted him blindly. But sometimes, love isn't enough to keep you safe. My world was about to change forever. It started on an ordinary Thursday evening. I had just finished dinner when Samir's phone buzzed loudly from the kitchen counter. Normally, I wouldn't have cared, he was always glued to that phone. But this time, something felt different. I was about to walk past when a message preview flashed on the screen. 4 simple words. 4 words that stabbed me straight in the chest. Can we meet tonight? My breath caught. I stood frozen, staring at the screen, heart pounding so loudly I was sure he'd hear it from the other room. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a work thing. Maybe just a friend needing help. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. That night, Samir came home later than usual. He didn't greet me with his usual smile or the tired but warm hug I'd come to expect. Instead, he walked past me, his eyes avoiding mine. I wanted to ask him where he'd been. I wanted to scream, to demand answers. But I didn't. I watched from the hallway window as he pulled out his car, driving off into the night. Something inside me twisted, a horrible mix of fear, doubt, and betrayal. The next day, I tried to act normal. I smiled at him during breakfast, made small talk like everything was fine. But my mind kept replaying that message. Then came the moment I can never forget. I was at his office, dropping off a forgotten lunchbox, when I saw him through the glass walls of the conference room, sitting close to a woman I had never met. They laughed quietly, their faces inches apart. Samir's hand brushed hers, a gesture so intimate I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I froze. my heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. I didn't know her name. I didn't know what she meant to him. But I knew one thing. Our life, our marriage, was no longer when I thought it was. The man I loved was hiding something, and I was trapped in a lie. For days after that, my mind was a battlefield. I kept replaying the scene in Samir's office, the way he looked at her, the softness in his voice, the way their hands brushed as if they belonged to each other. Was I just imagining things? I asked myself over and over. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe I'm overreacting. But every time I saw his phone light up, my heart clenched with a painful mix of hope and fear. One evening, as we sat quietly at the dinner table, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Samir," I began, voice trembling. "Is there something you want to tell me?" He looked up, startled, then quickly masked it with a tired smile. "Tell you what, Aisha." I wanted to believe him, but the knot in my stomach tightened. I swallowed hard, forcing the words out. "I saw you with someone at work. Who is she?" Samir's eyes flickered just for a moment, but it was enough. "It's nothing. Just a colleague." "Nothing?" I whispered. "You didn't even tell me about her." His silence was louder than any answer. That night, lying alone in our bed, I stared at the ceiling, mind racing. Should I confront him again? Should I follow him? Or should I pretend like everything's fine, even if it's killing me inside? I felt lost, caught between wanting to trust the man I loved and the crushing doubt that maybe I didn't know him at all. The worst part was the silence. The secrets. The distance growing between us like a chasm I couldn't cross. I kept thinking about the life we built, the promises we made. Was it all just a lie? Every smile he gave me felt like a mask. Every touch, a reminder of what I might be losing. I remember sitting by the window one rainy afternoon, gripping a cup of cold coffee, tears threatening to spill. "Why are you doing this to me?" I whispered to the empty room. "Why won't you just tell me the truth?" But there was no answer. Only the relentless beating of my heart, full of questions with no relief. I wanted to believe there was a reason, a misunderstanding, maybe even an excuse. But deep down, I knew I was watching my world crumble, one secret at a time. The next day, my heart was pounding as I made a decision I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I followed Samir. I told myself it was for answers, for closure, for the truth I deserved. I parked my car a few blocks from his office and watched as he slipped out, looking casual but somehow distant. I kept my distance, heart hammering in my chest, every step feeling heavier than the last. He didn't head home. Instead, he drove toward a quiet, unfamiliar neighborhood, one I'd never been to. I parked discreetly and followed him on foot, my hands trembling. He stopped in front of a small, modest apartment building. My breath caught when I saw who came out to meet him. It was the woman from the office. But she wasn't alone. A little girl, no more than 6 or 7, ran to him and wrapped her arms around his leg. Samir knelt down, hugging her tightly. His smile was warm, the kind I hadn't seen directed at me in months. I blinked, tears blurring my vision. What was happening? Was this his daughter? Why had he never told me? I wanted to scream, to demand answers right there. But something inside me held back. I drove away, confused, shattered, and more alone than ever. Later that night, I confronted him. "Who is she, Samir? And why didn't you tell me about the little girl?" He looked at me, eyes full of pain and regret. "She's my daughter, Aisha. From before we met. I was going to tell you, I swear. But the damage was done." I realized then that there were more secrets buried deep. Secrets that could either break us or bury us forever. And I didn't know if I was strong enough to face them. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Everything inside me demanded answers, the truth, no matter how painful. One rainy evening, when Samir came home late again, I was waiting. "Samir, we need to talk. Now," I said, voice shaking but firm. He looked tired, but there was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before, a flicker of fear. I took a deep breath. "I know about her. The little girl. The daughter you never told me about. His face paled. I'm not the only one you've been hiding from me, are you? I whispered. He hesitated, then finally let the truth spill out like a dam breaking. There's more, Aisha. I was scared. I didn't want to lose you. My heart stopped. What else? He swallowed hard, avoiding my gaze. There's someone else. My world shattered all over again. I'm seeing someone. It started months ago. I wanted to scream, to cry, to hit him. Why? After everything? After us? He looked at me, eyes full of regret and pain. I never meant to hurt you. I was lost. I felt invisible. I felt rage boiling inside me, but also a deep, aching sadness. Was that just a chapter in your story? Something you could erase? He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. No, you were everything. But sometimes, people break even the ones you love. I looked at him one last time, tears blurring my vision. I don't know if I can forgive you, or even stay. And in that moment, the love we once had died. I walked out into the pouring rain, heartbroken, but finally free. I stood there in the rain, the cold water mixing with my tears, as everything inside me unraveled. For years I had built my life around Samir, the man I loved, trusted, and dreamed with. But now, the dreams lay in ruins. Walking away wasn't easy. Every step felt like breaking a promise to myself, to the life I thought we shared. But sometimes, letting go is the only way to find yourself again. In the weeks that followed, I stopped answering his calls. I erased the photos, packed away the memories, and began to rebuild the pieces of me that had been shattered. Friends asked if I was okay. I lied, saying, I'm healing. But the truth? Healing didn't come in a straight line. Some nights, I cried so hard I thought I'd drown. Other days, I felt numb, as if my heart had turned to stone. Slowly, I started to rediscover who I was, without Sami. I picked up my sketchbook again, pouring my pain into colors and lines that spoke louder than words ever could. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected. I even dared to smile. Then, one day, I received a message. It wasn't from Samir. It was from a stranger. Hi, Aisha. I'm Sarah. I'm Samir's daughter. My breath hitched. A new chapter was beginning one I hadn't expected, but maybe, just maybe, it was time to face it. Because sometimes, the people who hurt us the deepest leave behind the hardest lessons. And sometimes, those lessons lead us to our strongest selves. As I closed my eyes, I realized I wasn't the broken woman I once was. I was someone new. Someone brave. Someone free.